What's up, everybody? This is Ms. Grant, the Alumni Success Counselor for DCP, and this video is to walk you step by step on how to renew your FAFSA application for the 2022-2023 school year. So in order to get started, you do need to have a couple of documents ready, and those are your and your parents' 2020 income tax returns, the 2020 W-2 forms for both you and your parents, birthday information, social security numbers if your parents have them, and any other financial information, any records of financial assets or unreported income that they want to include in this application. So it's super important that you have these documents. If your parents have not filed or will not file the 2020 taxes, that is not an impediment for you to get financial aid. You still have to fill out the financial aid application. So do reach out if you have questions on how to do that, or you can also schedule an appointment. So we are going to get started with the application. Make sure that you have this information ready to go so that we can get started. So what you're going to do first, is go to the FAFSA website. So it's fafsa.gov. It's going to take you to this page here, and you are renewing your application. So you're going to go to returning user. And then you're going to go to I am the student. If you forgot your FSA ID information, there is a link on the flyer that will help you to retrieve that information. But assuming that you remember your information, which I do, you're going to put it in here. And this is the very first time that I have logged in since last time. So it's going to prompt this message here. You're going to click accept. And because this is a renewal application, it's going to keep a lot of your info that you submitted your last time you applied. So a lot of this process is just confirming that the information is the same. Obviously, if your phone number, address has changed, this is the opportunity to update it and change it. Also keep in mind that the application itself looks different than it's looked at prior years. So just make sure that you are answering all the questions. For the most part, it's in the same sequence as it's been in other applications, but it does look a little bit different. So you're going to confirm your information here, and then you're going to say, I agree, and click continue. It's going to have you confirm your contact information and your address line. For me, I have used the school's address. Okay, perfect. So it's going to hopefully approve that information. My information is verified. So it's going to take me to the application or not. It's going to kick me out. Okay. Oh, wait. Yes, you're going to go to the FAFSA form and click continue. We will see. So for you, it should say renew the 2022-2023 FAFSA form. For me, because I only did it as a sample, it didn't actually save my last submission because I never got to submit. I just made the sample application. So I'm going to click start, but you are going to click renew the 2022 information. Then it's going to prompt you to do this like save key. So this is kind of like a mini password in case you don't get to finish, and it can literally be whatever. I'm going to choose one. Oh. I'm going to choose 1, 2, 3, 4. Just in case you don't get to finish it, it's going to take you here. And then it's going to prompt you to this next message. You're going to scroll down and click continue. And then it's going to take you to your information. Again, your information from last time is going to be saved here. This is a sample information that I put along with your name, your birthday, everything here should stay the same. Your email address, make sure that you update your email if it has changed, your phone number. And then it's going to take you to the rest of your information. Again, change it if you need to. Otherwise, it's going to be populated from the last time. You're going to click continue. Then you're going to click your residence eligibility. So this is not, this specific question is just about if you've lived in California. For most of us, the answer is going to be yes. If you're a US citizen or a resident. If you're a citizen, you click I'm a US citizen. If you are only a resident, then you're going to put I'm not a citizen. No, but I'm an eligible non-citizen. So it'll be the second one. So we're just going to put here citizen. And then what will your high school completion status be? And you would have received the high school diploma. If you're year 2 or plus, what college degree or certificate will you be working on this next year? So then for most of us, it's going to be your first bachelor's degree. And then will you have your first bachelor's degree before this school year ends? Probably not. So, or actually no, if it's yes, if you're doing a graduate school application, then you would click yes, but for undergrad, it would be no. And then whatever your college level will be, I'm just going to use second year sophomore. And then are you interested in being considered for work study? This does not mean that you're going to accept work study. It just means that you want it to be part of your financial aid award, which you should. Work study is a program where you basically get paid to work at the school and that money goes to you. So then you're going to choose if you're male or female. If you're male, do know that you are going to be prompted to sign up for selective services. So you can do it through here if you would like. So I'm going to put female. For female students are not required to do that. If you have a driver's license, you can include it. It is not required information. And then here you're going to put your, if you have been in foster care and your parents' education. So if you at any time were in the foster care system, you're going to click yes. And this just means that it's going to prompt you to get more resources, which is what you want. And then what is the highest school completed by parent one? So I'm just going to say middle school and middle school for the second one, but you're going to answer it according to your parents' information. And then this is going to ask you if you've ever received eligibility. I mean, if you've ever received federal aid before. If this is your second year renewing or your first year renewing, your second year in college, or it's going to be your second year in college, then you're going to click yes, because you've already received financial aid. And then it's going to ask you if you've been convicted of the possession of any illegal drugs for an offense that occurred while you were on financial aid. For most of us, I hope this is no. If the answer is yes, then it might impact how much financial aid or what kind of financial aid you got. Okay. Perfect. So here it's going to ask you to add your high school. You're going to put in California, San Jose, and then we're going to type in downtown college. Perfect. So keep in mind that both of the DCP high schools are going to come up. Here we go. So Alum Rock or Downtown College Preparatory. This is El Primero. So I'm just going to go with Alum Rock. This is the first one, but you choose your school. You can scroll down and click continue. And you're going to click continue here. And then here are the schools that you want your information to be sent to. So obviously the college that you're currently attending is going to be one of them. I'm just going to type in as an option, as an example, San Jose State. So if you're considering taking summer school classes, I highly encourage you to already include the community colleges that you are wanting to attend over the summer. If you're already in community college, but think maybe you do want to take classes over the summer, you want to include other local community colleges in case your college does not offer the class that you want. So then you would choose San Jose City. I'm going to choose both San Jose State, and I'm actually going to include Evergreen. Nothing happens if you include a lot of colleges. It won't impact you or won't impact your financial aid. It just means that your information will be readily available to that school if you do decide to take classes there. So then it's going to ask you for your housing plans. If you are unsure or thinking like, oh, maybe I do at least want to have the option to, I would say put on campus now so that you can be offered financial aid and you can decide if it's going to work for you or not. For community colleges, obviously they don't have they don't have housing. So you're just going to put off campus. You can add more colleges up to 10 and then click continue. So it's going to ask you for your marital status. You will choose if you're single, married, separated, or divorced. Most of you are probably going to be single. And then you click continue, and then it's going to take you to your dependency status. Oh, no, sorry. It's going to ask you if you have any dependents, or if you have any children or will have children starting July 1st of 2022, then you will click yes, and that will basically trigger more financial aid opportunities. If you are like me, I don't have any kids, so I'm going to click no. Any other dependents that depend financially on your income. These could be like cousins, grandparents, uncles, anybody who depends on your financial aid that are not your kids or your spouse, then you would click yes. And for this example, I'm going to click no. So this is going to take you to your dependency status. For me, as of right now, based on the information that I put, it's going to consider me independent because of my age. But if you're under 24, if you are not married, if you don't have any kids and have not gone to the service, it's going to consider you to be a dependent student, and you will be required to include your parent information. So for me, because I'm over 24, I don't necessarily have to include my parent information. But for the purpose of this sample, I'm going to say that I do want to include my parent information here, so I can show you what it looks like. Then it's going to tell you whose information I'm going to provide. And this is like if your parents are living together and they are, married, or they're just living together. If your parents are separated, but you live with one parent more time than you live with the other. Or if your parents are divorced or separated, but you live with them the equal amount of time, or if you're legally adopted. So I'm going to click the first one. Continue. And then I will put that my parents are not married, but they're living together. And then it's going to ask for my parent information. So this is really important to look for your parents' social security number if they have it. If they don't have it, you're going to put zeros. And then you're going to put your parents' last name. I'm just going to make up a last name right now, Flores. Age and their birthday. I'm literally just making things up. And then if your parents have an email address, you can include it out here, but it's not required. Again, if your parents do have a social security number, then include it on here. If your parents do not, just put zeros, and you can put zeros for both of them. And I'm going to use another here. I'm just looking up stuff here. Then what's going to happen if you put zeros, it's going to let you, in a little bit, it's going to prompt you to check for errors. So this does not ask for their, like if they're legally here or not. This just means if they lived in California for the last 5 years. Click yes if that applies to you. And then this is going to ask you for your parents' dependents. So the first question is asking about other children that your parents financially support that for more than half of their income between July 1st and June 23. And so then it could be however many siblings that your parents financially support. I'm just gonna put 3 here, and any other people that depend financially on your parents. Again, this could be grandparents, this could be cousins, anybody that your parents financially support. I'm gonna put 1 just as an example. So then it's gonna help count how many people are in your household. So it'd be yourself, both of your parents, or if it's just one parent, it'll just be 1 there. Any other children that your parents financially support, and then any other person that are not your siblings that they financially support. This next question asks about how many people from here are going to college. Do not include your parents, but you do include yourself. So if you're the only one who's going to be going to college, you only put 1. If you and maybe another sibling or one of the dependents is going to college, then that would obviously increase the number. But for this example, I'm just going to put 1. Okay, so then it's going to ask you for your parents' tax returns. And so I have a sample here of a tax return, right? Make sure that it says 1040. And then you can also find like the 1040 here in the lower corner. So it's gonna ask you to put their information. If they've already completed it, then you're gonna do already completed. If your parents are still in the process of filing, then you can put will file. And then if they're not gonna file, either they did not make enough income or they're just choosing not to, then you're gonna put not going to file. We're going to put already completed here. And this is the IRS 1040 form, which is the most common one. Because my parents, or the information that I put on here, the parents don't have a social security social security number, apologies. I will not be allowed to use the IRS data retrieval tool. But if your parents do have a social security number, then you will be able to link the information directly from the IRS. And it basically just saves you a lot of time because it sends it over automatically. So if that is your case, then it will prompt you here to do that transfer of information, which makes your life so much easier in the future. And so then it's going to ask you to go to line 1040. So you're going to go to your 1040 form and look at these numbers here. These are the line numbers. So this is line 11. And then obviously, right, this is just a sample. So it's blank, but that's where you're going to go. I'm just going to click here 23,000 as an example. Then it's going to ask you how much each of your parents made. So if both of your parents worked, then you can go to their W-2 form and find that information now. And I actually did not open up a sample, but let me see if I can find an image here. So this is what a W-2 looks like. It's usually like a smaller little paper here. And then you can go to line 1 and it'll tell you how much each parent made. So whatever it says for your parent 1, then you'll put that there. And then obviously for parent 2, if your parents both of them don't work, only one of them works, then you would just put the amount of money that one parent made. So in this case, I'm going to say that parent 1 worked and parent 2 did not work. So I'm going to put 0 and then the full 23,000 for parent 1. I hope that makes sense. And then you're going to go to, it says here to go to IRS 1040, line 22 minus schedule 2. So this is what a schedule form looks like. This is schedule 1 and it'll say schedule 2 on the corner right there, or down here it'll say schedule 2. So for this particular example, I'm gonna say this tax return did not have a schedule 2, so I'm gonna assume that is a 0 whenever it's not there. And then it says to go line 22 minus 0, right? So then I'll go to line 22. And if there's something on line 22, then you will put it there. Again, this is just an example. So it's a blank form and I'm just making up numbers, but you're going to go based off of that, right? Let's say that line 22 has $1,000. Okay, so a lot of these questions are not going to be relevant to most of the DCP parents, but you can still read through them and see if they if they apply to your parents. If they were in the military, if they have any special combat pay, if they have student college grants or scholarships that they need to report to the IRS. This includes AmeriCorps and any fellowships or assistantships that they need to report. Again, a lot of these are going to stay as zeros, but you can go ahead and look through them to see if they apply to your parents. And again, this is for your parent information. You can go ahead and click continue. I'm going to say 0 to all of that. And then again, if your parents paid child support because of a divorce or separation, you can include here how much they've paid, or if they are getting any money from a co-op education program that is offered by a college. Very unlikely, but if that applies to them, they would know, and you can include it here. And then if your parents are doing any work study programs, which may be highly unlikely, but if that's the case, then you would include it here as well. Again, if none of that, what I just said, sounds even remotely familiar, it might not apply to your parents, so you can just go ahead and click continue. This other portion is any untaxed income. So if your parents are getting money through child support, then they need to include that here. If they are paying for the living or housing expenses of anybody in the military, in a church, or any other organizations, they could include that here. If they are making payments to their tax deferred pensions or retirement savings, if your parents are a veteran, they can also include their information here, or any other tax information for workers' comp or disability benefits they could include in this last question. All of these are not very common, but you can ask them to include it on here. I'm going to leave everything at 0. So then it's going to ask you about your parent asset information. And it's going to say how much, it wants to know how much money your parents have. And in order to determine this, I would really encourage you to ask your parents after they pay taxes, after they pay bills, after they pay all of their things that they need to pay, how much money on average do they have, right? And you can use that number here. If your parents have any investments, including real estate, but not your own house. So let's say that they are buying other properties or any other land or whatever, then you can include that on here, the value of that, of those assets. If your parents have any businesses that have over 100 employees, then you would also include the net worth of that asset on here. These are not very common, but if that applies to you, then you do that there. Then it's going to take you to your own filing status information. So if you did file taxes, obviously you are going to put already completed. If you worked but didn't make enough money to file taxes, or if you're unsure, then you can either put will file if you're considering it, or not going to file, depending on your case. For me, I'm going to put not going to file, and then, you know, it doesn't even trigger anything. But if it says I will file, or sorry, oh my goodness, if you're going to put already completed, then it's going to ask you which tax return did you do. It'll be the 1040 form, and then it's going to ask you for your filing status. So you'll be able to find that on the very first section here of the 1040. You're going to click however you filed. Most of you are probably going to be single. And then it's going to say that you can do the IRS data retrieval tool. So this is the tool I was mentioning earlier, that it automatically transfers your information over. If that's the case for you, and you're allowed to use this, then you should do it. It makes everything so much easier. But for this case, I'm going to click skip, because I want to show you what it would look like if you cannot do the IRS data retrieval, which I think most of you should. You should be able to. You're gonna go to line 11 and say, what was your gross income? I'm just making up numbers here. I'm gonna put that it was 2,000, click continue. And then how much did you work? How much did you earn from working wages? So this is the information. It actually tells you on here where you can add it up if you don't have your W-2. If you have your W-2, it'll be box number 1. If you don't have your W-2, then you can go to line 40. You can go to form 1040, line 1. See if you have a schedule 1 form, go to line 3 plus 6 plus the box 14 of the schedule K1 or the form 1065. So this right here, these little letters give you guidance as to how to find the information if you don't have a W-2. So I'm just gonna put 2,000 because that's the number I used earlier. And then it says, you know, I indicated that I filed a 1040 form. Did I file a schedule 1 form? So you would click whatever your case is based on your tax returns. Not everyone has a schedule 1 form, and that's okay. So you just go based on whatever's in your packet. I'm going to say no, click continue. And then it's going to say enter the amount of your income tax, and it tells you here where to look. Again, it'll tell me to go to the form 1040 line 22 minus schedule 2 line 2. So assuming that I don't have a schedule 2, that's a 0, and line 22 minus 0. And again, I'm just making up numbers for line 22, so I'm just going to put 1,000 here. Okay, these are the same questions that we went over earlier. A lot of these are not going to apply to you. These are very specific situations, so I'm just going to leave them all at 0. Same, right? If I'm not paying child support, I'm not earning income from any of these things, I'm going to click continue. My untaxed income, if I'm getting child support, if I'm not you know, if I'm paying for somebody's living and housing expenses, any other payments are not relevant to me. So I'm going to leave them as 0 and click continue. It's going to ask you if you want to skip your questions about your assets. Most of us don't have assets at the college level. If you do, you can include it. And so then you would say you don't want to skip. But if you don't have any, then you can just click yes to skipping it. It'll save you a lot of time. So because I'm just making up numbers, it's going to say that it's an error. Obviously, if this is a message that's prompted for you, please make sure that you review that all the lines line up with the information that you put in. And that is what is reflected on your parents' tax returns or your own tax returns. You can just double check that it's there. For me, I'm just going to click check for errors. Like I've already checked it and I confirm that the information is correct. Then it's going to take you to the summary. So before this, because for both of the parents, I put zeros, it is possible that you're going to get that message that there's an error. So if that's the case for you, you're going to scroll down and click check for errors until it lets you move forward. Super, super important. When you get to this place, I highly encourage you not to submit until someone reviews this application for you. You can email it to me at dgrant@dcp.org, or you can show up to one of my office hours and I'm happy to review quickly just to make sure that all of the information is correct. But you can do your own review and kind of scroll down, go through the questions, make sure that everything makes sense. Again, to get it reviewed, then you just scroll to the bottom of the page, click print this page, and then you're going to save it as a PDF, download it, and then send it to me. So I'm just going to put that. There you go, save it, and then send it over to me. And then you would click continue. If you want to get your application reviewed, then you can log out at any point, save this FAFSA form, and then exit this FAFSA form. It's going to save your application, then exit, and then send it over to have someone review it, and then you can come back and submit. If you are ready, then you would click I agree to these terms, and you're going to sign and submit your FAFSA. And it's going to tell you that it's ready to go. So because of my age, it actually does not ask me for a parent information, for a parent signature, but for you, it will be asking you to sign, and it will also ask you for your parents to sign. So if your parents do not have a social, you will have to download the form, have them sign it, and you're going to mail it over to the address that they give you. If your parents do have a social, they probably already created a FSA ID, so they'll be able to sign electronically. Your FAFSA application will not be complete until that signature form is in, whether it's in paper or electronically. Your parents do need to sign your application in order for your process to go through. So super, super important to make sure that you do that. Once you submit your FAFSA application, what will happen is that FAFSA will review your information, make sure that your signature page is in. Once that is ready to go, they're going to send it over to your school. Then your school will do whatever they need to do to make sure, you know, that you have all the information that they need to award you. Keep in mind that after your first year, your financial aid award letters don't come in until the early midsummer. So don't stress out if you don't get an award right away. It's totally normal that it takes a little bit longer. And I will have office hours where I can answer any questions that you have. And I will also have one-on-one sessions available if you'd like to do the FAFSA application with someone from our team. And once you click that submit button, please let me know if you have any other questions. If you're being, you know, asked to submit additional information and you're not sure, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'm super excited for this new financial aid year. Hopefully it'll be a good one for all of us. And please let me know if there's any way I can support you. So congratulations, you officially renewed your financial aid application. And I wish you the best of luck in the rest of the semester. Bye.